Hey guys, Nico here. Thought I'd like to sit down and talk about something that has recently come out in Australia. Um, One thing I think probably the first person to really talk about it on YouTube. I think I know a lot of people talked about the movie back years ago, but I think probably the first person to talk about the Underbelly miniseries. Now, um, this new Underbelly series was called Chopper. It's about one of Australia's notorious standover men, pretty much guy that used to break someone's legs for fucking money, pretty much, and used to always fucking work with a lot of the big heavyweight fucking mobsters in Australia, really. Um, he was pretty much a hard case and a fucking insane prick. But anyway, and we'll bring this up for reference. This was a movie that came out. Oh, hang on, I'll let you know. Can't be bothered reading the back of that, but it was the movie. I think it was back in 2000. I think the movie came out from memory. It was Eric Banner's the movie that Eric Banner sort of became more well known in America over, and sort of kicked off his career in America and made him sort of be recognised as a good actor. Um, Anyway, and the what the movie was, well, this one was very well done. Stuck very true to stuck fairly true to the story of what Chopper was describing of the events at the time, and he also wanted Eric Banner to play him at the time, and it seemed to really work out fine for him in the end. But recently they decided, because now Chopper Reed's been dead since 2013 from liver cancer, and after his second stint in prison, I think it was his second stint in prison, he became a comedian. Before his second stint in prison, he wrote a book. A lot of people started, becoming fans of his and stuff like that. A lot of mobsters didn't like what he wrote in the book because to them it wasn't true. And his story is very widely debated today. Um, one thing, one thing I will say is that this new show gets right. Now, Underbelly is an original series. I do have a set over there, not the whole complete set, but most of the important ones. The Underbelly series when they first came out were all about these big mobs and these big gangsters and stuff like that that were running Australia back then, and it's a lot more vicious than a lot of people would actually think would happen in Australia. But it's pretty interesting, and it's like the very first series of Underbelly. I will say was probably the best series I've ever watched in my life. Out of that series, and the follow up they did in 2013, probably. I think it was 2013, 2014, called Fat Tony and Co., which sort of like finished up a lot of the storylines that happened after that series ended, which was very interesting. But Chopper Reed was around in that period of time, but he wasn't in that series, which kind of was a bit sad because he was a big influence at that point in time. Anyway, so after his second stint in prison, he became a comedian. He was, he was writing. He wrote some more books, and he became like pretty much an Aussie legend in the end, and sort of turned his life around. Anyway, he became very famous very quickly, and one thing that interested a lot of people was this new show that was coming out, Underbelly was doing, called Chopper. It was a 2-episode miniseries and me myself was very excited, very intrigued, and was wanting to see how this would go. And I'm a little disappointed. I'll start off with the first episode. Now, this one, it more focused on because they did a 60 minutes episode 2 weeks before they filmed a 60 minutes episode interview with him 2 weeks before he died. And they aired it, I think, a month after he died. Excuse me. Anyway, and it was mainly about the last person he confessed to killing. and it was mainly about the lead up and why he went to prison originally for something that he claimed he didn't do, and it was all pretty much about that, him admitting that he did do it, and he got away with it, and because he was dying anyway, it was his last interview, and he wanted to confess everything. But anyway, he turned around and yeah, obviously 2 weeks later he died. But it was mainly about that story and the reason why he did his second stint in prison and his life back then and what his life was like and what he was doing at the time and what was going on. Now, the actor that plays Chopper in this one's Aaron Jeffries or Jeffers or whatever his name is. He did a poor job. A very, very, very poor job. Like, he looked the part, he just couldn't play the part. You know, I know he tried, and I'll give the man credit, he tried. The actor really, really tried. But it just seemed like it just didn't cut it. The writing was a bit, the editing was way off. One thing I will admit, the soundtrack was actually very fucking good, and the sound was done really well. And one thing I will admit too, my sister-in-law's cousin worked on the sound, the music, and everything like that for the show. Props to him. He did a very good job. So that's one credit I will make about the show. But the first episode was very choppy. It wasn't edited well. Puns, choppy, chopper. It wasn't very well done. Like, for a staple like Underbelly, that for in my personal opinion is a series that did very, very well, and as my personal opinion, a lot more people around the world should actually watch, because it's one of the few Australian film or television that we've made that's actually quite decent or quite entertaining. But one thing's for certain is that the first episode was very, it wasn't very good. It tried to stick with the feel of what Chopper was like and his sort of personality, but it didn't work. It really didn't work at all. And the sad thing is that he, you know, it'd be really nice. I think he'd be rolling in his fucking grave. I think he'd be literally rolling in his grave. Then we go on to the second season, which was aired like tonight. I did stay up late to end up watching it, so it's very fucking late now. I watched a recap of it because I was a bit busy to be able to watch it when I was like actually on television, so I waited for a recap. It was done a lot better. It was like they had a different editor doing the second episode, and it felt a little bit more straightforward. It felt a little bit more better written, a little bit more better acted. Yeah, it was mediocre at best. Sadly, I will say, it's probably one of the few worst Underbelly shows they've ever made. If you've ever watched Underbelly, I personally would recommend, if you want to watch something about Chopper, I recommend you watch his stand-up, his documentary that he did a little while ago, before he died, which wasn't too bad, or watch the Eric Bana movie, which is actually quite good, and in my personal opinion, probably one of the best movies Australia's ever made, alongside Mad Max. That's my 100% honest opinion. The movie Chopper was brilliantly acted, brilliantly written, brilliantly cast, beautifully edited. You know, it was perfect. And I'm very upset to see that a big staple like Underbelly just missed the mark with this one. And it was supposed to be kind of their comeback to try and do more Underbelly again, because they've had a big hiatus since the last one they did, which was Fat Tony and Co., which they technically don't say it's not a part of the Underbelly franchise, when technically it is. They used the same actors from the original series. They used it was just a conclusion for that main series. But it's like, oh, it's not an Underbelly series, guys. I'm like, well, but technically it is, and it was done by the exact same people that did the Underbelly series, so you need to give them credit. It's an Underbelly show. But if you want to do the last proper one, I think it was called Squeezy, which was back in the I'm trying to remember now. I think it was the 1900 era, and they were all back when like the mob and the mafia started coming into Australia and started like establishing themselves here. That wasn't very good either. Like, and the sad thing is with Underbelly, it was that it was a mixed bag. The shows, the original series was great, very well done. The second series, not so much. It was kind of a bit of a drag. I know a lot of people enjoyed it more than the original series, because each series was technically about a different timeline or different of the events, or it was based on a different like a different family or different like whatever was going on, a different story. Apart from the original series, they had that follow up, which it really needed, because at the time when the original series came out, it was banned in the state of Victoria because a lot of the court cases were actually still going with a lot of the stuff that was going on, and they had to edit some of the stuff, so they had to do re-edits of the seasons and bring them out again, re-release them again, to make it, to finish the story. And they ended up going, look, too much shit has happened. We're just going to make this Fat Tony and Co. and we'll put it all in that. It'll make it a lot easier, and it did. And that was not a bad show either. The second series, The Tale of Two Cities, was not good. The Golden Mile wasn't too bad. That was actually quite interesting and different. After that was Razor, and it was about a prostitution ring in Australia that used to do a lot of criminal stuff along the side. That was not very interesting. And the thing after that was Badness, and Badness, if I had to say, was probably the last good proper Underbelly series, which was about another famous serial killer here, not Ivan Milat. It was another one that was and he was a crook and a gangster, but he was a serial killer, and the hunt to find him, the hunt to catch him was really interesting. And it was done very well. Again, excellently acted, brilliant cast, brilliant fucking story writing, brilliantly shot. It was perfect. It was a very well done show. But I am very upset that Underbelly's return to form. Please do better. Please do better. No, that's my thoughts on that. Overall, if you are a Chopper fan, you might enjoy this. There was a little twist at the end. I'm not 100% sure did happen in real life or not. It was never really confirmed at the end of the series, but I'd love to actually find out if that was. If the actual real life Chopper did say what he did at the end of the show, because I would actually love to know. I know a lot of stuff. There's some stuff in the show was dramatised for TV, which they did say at the beginning of each episode. Some stuff was fictionalised to be on television. But I would love to find out. It's one thing I would love to find out. But they've missed the mark on this one. But if you are a big Chopper fan, I suggest giving it a go. See what you think. I'm not gonna say you might enjoy it, but if I had to put a rating on it, just rent it. If you can rent it. If you can't rent, well, these days there's no fucking rental places you can rent it from. If there's a way to borrow it from someone, borrow it. At the moment, both episodes are on the 9 Now app. They'll be probably on there for another month or so. The DVD probably out sometime tomorrow or probably next week sometime. But I highly suggest you either watch them while they're free on the Catch Up on the 9Now app, or borrow it from a friend and see what you think. But to be brutally honest, it's not really a buy for me. If I do buy it, it'll probably just be only for the set. That'd be the only reason why I'll buy it. But I'd like to know your thoughts. Did you guys enjoy it? Did you guys end up actually liking the man that played Chopper's performance? Personally, I still don't. I know he tried. I know you never watched this, but you know, I hope you do get more work because you're not a bad actor in general. It's just I just don't think this character was for you. But I'd like to hear your thoughts, and I'll. One quick message though is that I will be starting to get back on streaming soon. Now my PC's sort of back up and working a little better than usual. So if you guys want to come and watch me stream more often, you're more than welcome to. I'll be maybe streaming a bit more bits of some of Divinity as well, depending, or some pub maybe, I don't know, depending on what's going on. Alright guys, well let me know what you thought of the Underbelly Chopper series in the comments if you did get to watch it, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.